Hi, how are you all this evening? I want to thank you for joining us this evening. The goal of this live cast is to introduce you to entrepreneurs that make a difference in your community. We want this to be fun, informative discussion on a variety of topics to stimulate your mind. Some thoughts to ponder are, what would you do if you were debt-free, optimum health, have the job you love going into every day? We want you to walk away from these episodes with the feeling of, I can implement and make these small changes to make a difference in my life, or I can use such and such service that we're introducing you to. I'm honored to introduce you to Stephanie Jackson, who is a health and wellness coach, owner of and founder of The Freedom to Live, and my counterpart on a variety of business initiatives. So welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you, Darlene.
You are welcome. And we're just waiting for Gay to join us. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but she will be joining us shortly. And as for myself, I'm a financial coach of Alaro Solutions. I guide people to overcome their financial challenges, to get out of debt, stay out of debt, and live their dreams. As for our guest, I want to warmly welcome Gay Douglas for joining us this evening. She is the owner of Trustworthy Transitions. And first off, tell us, what is Trustworthy Transitions, Gay?
Well, we are a move management company that helps people through the often stressful situation of downsizing and moving from the family home. So while we primarily deal with older adults, we also deal with younger people who may be going through a tough time and need a hand, need some support while they are going through the move and the transition process. So what that is in a nutshell is anything you think about you have to do when you are planning a move. We help them, we assist them.
And Gay's just dropped off. I'm sure she'll be right back. And I know for moving, and I know the stress involved with moving, and to have a service like this would have been so optimum, especially when I was moving our parents into my sister's home. My dad was ill, so we thought we're best off to move mom and dad into this home, into my sister's home, just to make it easier on the family, make it less stressful for my mom, less stressful for my dad, so I can see the value of a service like this that Gay is presenting. Welcome back, Gay. You can continue on. I just kind of filled in the gap.
Thank you. I have no idea. I just suddenly went to some kind of sports center without touching anything. So yeah, that's what we do. So our staff are specially trained, and I have a designation called Certified Relocation and Transition Specialist. So I've had specialized around the psychosocial, medical, and emotional experience that many of our clients and their families are going through. So we're movers, but we're movers with a heart, and we're movers who are efficient as well as compassionate.
Oh, that's fantastic. And Stephanie, I'll pass the questions on to you.
For sure. So Gay, where in terms of, you mentioned a few different things in terms of our health and our well-being in this process. So how do you support people, the different actors, people, stakeholders within this kind of situation?
Good point. Well, we take our lead from the client. As part of the assessment that we do when we meet with every client, we find out essentially what kinds of challenges they're having health-wise. In many cases, they've lost a spouse, they're having mobility challenges, they may or may not have family support. So the more that we know about their mental, physical, emotional health, we can provide the supports that they need. And throughout the experience of helping someone literally touch and decide where every single item they own is going to go, and helping them classify, organize, and make decisions.
Wow.
We tend to be able to, after a number of weeks or months, in some cases, really be able to identify when some.
Okay, so I think we've lost Gay there. And so it sounds like it's a really comprehensive service. I know my mother was just in the process of moving an elderly woman from her home into an assisted living facility. And unfortunately, my mother did not have a service like this. So it was a huge burden on herself to take on all the responsibility of trying to make those decisions on, what do I bring? What do we throw out? And it's a really challenging situation, especially if you are a family member. It's almost probably easier, as it sounds, to have that third party where it kind of leaves you unattached from that situation.
Absolutely. It looks like I'm going to be cutting out about every 2 minutes, so forgive me if I do. I can come right back in again. Apparently, it's quite simple. Yes, one of the things we recognize is when an older adult is leaving the family home, and many times they've been there 40, 50, 60 years, that it's often very difficult on the family who also had emotional ties to that home and to the belongings and the possessions in that home. So in many cases, we are supporting family members as well and understanding that this is tough on them too. And in many cases, this may be the last move for mom and dad. And so there are a lot of emotions, a lot of concerns that are tied up with this move. So anything we can do to take that pressure off the family is helpful. We also ensure that it's an exhausting process making all these decisions. So what we find is that the typical client does not spend any more than 4 to 5 hours a day tops with us when they are making these decisions, because it is exhausting. In many cases, they are making more decisions in a single day than they have done for the last 10 years.
Wow. That's so true. I can see how the mental, physical, exhausting experience that must be. So that's amazing that you are taking that all into consideration and your understanding there. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So what do you do in terms of finances, Gay, with them? Do you discuss it? I know you take care of the home, but do you have anything to do with finances?
No, we typically leave that to the client and their family. But naturally, finances play a role in terms of the conversations we have around payment. We happen to be one of the more flexible companies that while we take 30 to 35% upfront on a major move downsize project, we will often wait until the home sells before we will collect the balance of the payment. That's one of our terms. Flexibility happens to be one of our values, and we really live by that, recognizing that while many older adults may live in a home that's worth $500,000 and may have considerable savings and may have valuable pensions, they don't see themselves as having a lot, and they're very frugal. In most cases, older adults have worked so long worked for so long and so hard that they're very hesitant to part with their money.
Which is understandable. And the stress alone of it all, I can just imagine. And I think with nowadays, with the age of people and the cost, let's say going into senior retirement homes, and I know with my grandmother and the cost of it alone per month, and she was
now
panicking.
I can't see either of you ladies, so I'm not sure where.
Can you hear us still? Can you still hear us, Gay? Testing. And we'll just continue to talk, and hopefully Gabe can join us and hear us shortly. But I know with my grandmother alone, we weren't sure. She was always worried, will I run out of money before I run out of health? So that panic was, she was in a Chartwell, and which is pretty expensive. But she always, every time as she was nearing 90, she was that
I can't hear
panic.
either of you if you are speaking. So I will just stay put, and hopefully you will come back on shortly.
So she was always worried as she approached 90, will she have enough money? And it was that constant reassurance. Yes, Nan, you're going to be okay. Yeah. You're fine. My grandfather took care of her. She's good till she's 100. But I think with that thought process of, oh my gosh, I don't want to run out of money or run out of a home. And that's so stressful for a senior.
It definitely is. I know that, there's so much different stress factors. And I think a lot of them, our mind is going at the same time. So it's that consciousness,
yes,
that we don't have.
Yeah.
I think Faye's coming back on here.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think it's stressful, but to have a service like a gate Trustworthy Transitions, I think it alleviates the stress of the family alone. Like, I know the conflict, not so much conflict with my sisters or siblings, etc., but conflict with my grandmother, and that conflict of having a third party taking care of and managing the move would have been humongous help for us all, because we were all involved with her move. So
100%.
I think just being able to employ a service like that is so much better on a family and for that stress level. Welcome back, Gay.
Thank you. I also want to add that what's been interesting in conversations with family members, the value of an objective third-party voice in the decision-making has great value. And I've had daughters and sons say to me, how on earth did you get Mom to part with that old couch? We have been telling her for years that it has no value, that it is simply a dust collector, that it's way too heavy to move out of the house. How on earth did you convince her to part with it? And so often the parents will listen to us as the experts, as that objective voice, as that well-informed party who really understands the value of this stuff. And so that's really the value of having a third party in. We know a lot of resources, auction companies, appraisers, party folks who should come in at some point during the process and weigh in on the value of items. So we can provide that outside voice and that outside expertise.
I think that's just so crucial, because in these situations, everybody plays the expert card. And when you hand it over to that third party, it just alleviates all that dialogue and the expectations and the assumptions and the entire, that process there. So, Kay, who really can benefit from this service? You mentioned older adults, but also other people in other situations. So maybe you could just give us a brief overview of all the different people that have benefited and can benefit from your service.
Right. Well, we will often get called by a real estate agent who's looking for assistance in helping their client get the home ready for sale. So we can help with the downsizing process of items that are not serving any value and actually may be a distraction from the sale of the home. We will often get calls from trustees, lawyers who are looking after a property on behalf of a client, who require the house to be emptied, to be sorted, to be organized, for us to remove items, take them to dump, bring in a bin, in many cases to simply clean out the home and get it ready for the next owner. In many, the client calls us themselves, and in other cases, it's the family member, it's the children, the nephews, the neighbor who call us and say, I really think that Cynthia needs your help. She cannot do this alone. She has severe arthritis in her neck, her shoulders. The idea of her actually picking up boxes and having to pack them is not going to happen. So, and at the same time, the phone rang a few weeks ago, and it was a 32-year-old gentleman who was moving from a very large modern home to another, and as a result of a marital breakup and a very busy business life, just needed us to pack things up and get things ready for him, so that he could unpack himself at the other end. So while we provide every single facet and every single detail that is involved with a move, including things like calling utilities, packing everything up, helping organize items, take them to dump, donations, sale, mail to family members. We also oversee the move, do the move, unpack them, put everything in place at the other end. But in many cases, the client only really needs us to do 1 or 2 or 3 of the 20 different tasks we can do on their behalf. So we take our lead from them.
That's a lot of services you provide. When you break it down to all the little details, that is amazing. Now, how does your organization give back to the community?
I'm not sure if either of you are asking me a question, but I cannot hear you.
Okay. Stephanie, are you able to type her question?
Okay, can you hear us now? We were just asking
yes, I can.
Okay, we were just asking how your organization is involved in the community, if there's any give back initiatives that you do.
Well, we're a fairly new company. We just launched last fall. It is our goal long term to do a downsize and organize and move. We're going to be doing 1 a year for a family or an older adult who may not be able to afford our service. We'd really like to start doing that over the next year, and that to be an annual event where we look after that entire move for that individual. In the meantime, I have been involved most recently with 4 other like-minded businesses that work with seniors and business. And we did an event here in Port Colborne just in May called A Dance to Remember, where money was raised for the Alzheimer's Association. So working with our partner organizations, we were able to raise some money and draw attention to the need of the Alzheimer's Association.
Oh, that's fantastic. That always hits my heartstrings. I love giving back to the community and hearing that. But I think even your service alone is giving back to our community. Having that service there, doing what a gay does, it's like, oh my gosh, I think that's a service in and of itself.
I know, what an amazing business. Just to have that peace of mind and the amount of service that she does provide. Because you can think of when you are moving, you can think of all the different tasks. And I guess if we get Gay back on, we can ask her what are the different price points to a service like this. But it sounds like there's a bit of flexibility in terms of how much and how little you can just get off your plate in terms of your budget. So in terms of, details, utilities, organizing, deciding what has to go to the trash and what can be moved. I'd love to find out more of the detail.
Totally.
There we go.
We do no obligation free estimate, which often takes an hour. In many cases, we go back 1 to 3 times. It's often multiple trips with the client to meet with family. This is a new industry for many folks. They weren't even aware the service was available. So we recognize that this is not an easy sell. It's not like just booking a mover. You need to move your stuff from point A to point B. Because we are so focused on the details and all of the elements, and we actually have probably has 40 to 50 items on it. We don't even share that with the client. That can be totally overwhelming.
Right.
So what we do is say, we will work within your needs and your budget. I was contacted by someone about a month ago who has a house that's sitting absolutely full of furniture. Mom moved out a year ago. They now have an entire home, 2 floors, 2 full kitchens, 3 bathrooms, yard, shed, garage, full of stuff, just as if Mom walked out the door last week. And they wanted us to bring a complete sale of all items and emptying the home.
Wow.
So what I did was I presented her with 3 options. This is the realistic number it's going to do all of those tasks. However, it provides the manpower. If you will be their family members that can come, we can work as a team, and we can give you that 2, 3 extra pairs of hands, boxes, the support, the help in terms of decision making, where items should go if they're not going with family, if they're not going for sale. So we always provide 3 quotes with every job that we quote on, because we recognize as a new industry, people don't even know what they don't know. So by having an opportunity to even have one of our staff in for 6 or 8 hours, they will often, then they get it. They see how efficient, how respectful, how knowledgeable and warm our staff are. And then they get, oh my God, now I see a button at the 8-hour level, but I'm realistically looking like this is more like a 30-hour job, and now I'm comfortable. I know what I'm getting for my dollar.
Wow, that sounds incredible.
Yeah, so definitely, we'll promote your business. We'll add in all the links to the show notes, because being a new industry, it's really good for, all those stakeholders in the community. If you're a neighbor, a child with aging parents, or you see anyone or yourself, just knowing that this kind of service is out there is crucial.
We appreciate
so
that.
much value.
As a new industry, I'm doing a lot of free talks to church groups, seniors groups, ladies groups, anyone that will have me come in and talk about the senior move industry. It's a fascinating growing industry that didn't exist until 20 years ago, and now there's more than 1,000 move managers in the United States, and it's grown across Canada, Australia, England, Ireland, and we're all members of an international association. So it's such a great industry. We learn from each other. We share information. We share clients with each other when they're moving cross country or overseas. We can pack up at one end and someone else can unpack at the other end. So I appreciate anything that's going to provide a level of education to the public about this fascinating new industry.
Amazing. One last question for me, Gay, is where in the Niagara region do you work with people? Like how geographically wide do you go?
Yeah, geographically. We're working with clients right now in Toronto and Brantford, and Haldimand County. Our focus is the south coast of Niagara, because I do live outside Port Colborne, and I recognize that a lot of services are not available in the south of Niagara. I focus between Haldimand County and Fort Erie, but I am receiving calls from all over the region. And when appropriate, I will share the client with another move manager who meets our standards in terms of membership and ethics and quality of service, so that we can cooperate on a move.
Amazing. Thank you.
Well, I think
thank you very much for the opportunity.
And you know what, Gabe? Because of this being cut out and kind of choppy, what I would like to do is closer to the end of summer, get together with a better stream. I think it's so important for our audience to hear this fully and be able to capitalize on such an integral business within our community.
I'm thinking the same thing.
So I definitely would love you to come back onto our webcast so that we can promote it further.
We may have to do a recording with Gay, because I don't know how much of this will come through. So if we had a clear recording of this service, it's so much value that we need our audience to definitely hear this.
Yeah. I'm sitting here thinking, oh, this is a service so many people need to hear about. And I think it would be great on that capacity. And we'll just see if Gay comes back to join us so that we can say goodbye to her and thank her for coming on to this show. I think I drew a lot of value. It opened my mind.
Same with me.
To the service provided, because I had no idea to the capacity that she does provide the service to.
Yeah. And I mean, even for myself, I kind of look around at my own house, and right now I'm living in a larger home. And if I do have that goal to kind of downsize, I don't know when, at what point in time, but just knowing that I could have this kind of full service, take care of all the details out there. It's something that I can personally look at for myself. I can look at it for my parents and their friends.
And I know we've discussed this before with attachment to things. Yes. And as he is talking, I'm sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, I have so much stuff. Just stuff. And you're always in the back of my mind, Stephanie, being a minimalist. And it's like, we're driving. It was so funny. I was driving with my daughter to the beach, and she's saying about different options and transitions of life and what would be possible. And all I'm thinking of, how would I downsize and get rid of my stuff? Because in actual fact, it's just furniture. But to me, it was like, how do I drop attachment from my great-grandmother's antique curio cabinet that's over 100 years old? Yeah. How do I mentally change my mindset to think that's just stuff, Dar? It's just material items.
I know,
but my heart says, that's my great-grandmother.
I had to love that point when Gay brought that up. You know, how it's like, how did you convince Mom to get rid of that, you know, that thing that like we're all the kids are going on about, like, Mom, you just don't need that.
I know. And that was totally.
We all have stories like that in our own family.
When Gay had said that, it was like, oh my gosh, this is so me. And it's funny with my two girls, because I have Alicia that is just, Mom, I don't want it. We don't need it.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Why do you have this? And then you have my other daughter, Alexandria, is like, she's the old soul. She loves the old antique teacup. She's my old soul person that really appreciates my love for stuff. So it's like, I have a little bit of a legacy here. So then I said to Alicia, because I've been thinking of this ever since we've discussed about it, and then I knew with Gay coming onto the show, it's like, well, who do I give my stuff to?
Right.
It'll be like, okay, Alexandria is good with it. And I remember when my grandmother passed away, my two sisters, myself, my mom, we all just sat there sorting all her jewelry and all her little momentums, and my aunt. So we just kind of sat there, and it's like, oh, this necklace is nice. Oh, Cheryl, this is more your style. So we were just kind of distributing it amongst ourselves. And it was like, oh, this would be good for the granddaughters, or this would be good for the grandson. So it's kind of, we worked in collaboration, but still it's to the point of getting rid of my stuff.
Yeah. And also like knowing what organizations are out there where we can donate stuff, where it sounds like that she's got that whole comprehensive service where stuff is not necessarily going to the garbage dump, but to different organizations in the community that can reuse and repurpose the items in a home. So I think we have a lot more to discuss here with Gay. We'll get her back on and potentially resolve the connection issues and do a recording, because so many people would love to hear about this new industry. Yep,
absolutely.
And how we can get in touch again.
Yes. So I want to thank Gay, even though she dropped off with the technical issues. I really definitely want to thank Gay Douglas from Trustworthy Transitions for joining our live cast this evening. Thank you, as always, Stephanie, for being here, being our counterpart. And we will see you. Oh, I forgot to write down our next. Is it this Thursday or next Sunday?
I believe we have our next live cast next Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks for your memory. This girl's getting a little old here. I need to write that down. So thanks a lot, everyone, for watching, and have a great week, and we'll see you next Sunday. Take care, Stephanie.
See you, Darlene. See you next Sunday. Bye.